Superman is about to come out with a brand new movie, James Gunn, the start of the James Gunn verse, and they're leading with basically in the world's mind the oldest superhero. But is he the best? Superman has had a resurgence over the last few years, and some other characters really haven't grown much in the same time span. So that's got me asking, is Superman currently the best character in comics? Has he always been?
I'd say he's the most important. I'm not sure if that answers your question. It's kind of like a side answer to your question.
Yeah.
Is he the best character in comics right now? Personally, no, but I think his uh his star has definitely risen for me in recent years. Um, the Summer of Superman currently happening as we're recording this and as this comes out, um, is in full force at DC. And he's kind of becoming the linchpin to a very, very important section of the DC comic book universe. Um, Even more so than Batman, I would say, which is surprising in my time reading this. I think there's currently more Superman adjacent books than Batman in mainline. This is not counting all the Black Label, but even those, there's a Superman one coming out. So, um, yeah, I think right now I'm having the most fun with Superman that I have had with the character and his extended family of cast that I ever have since I've been reading comics, for sure.
Yeah, the books coming out right now are incredibly strong, and I think that whether or not new things per se are happening, interesting things are, and that's a lot more than you can say, uh, about other titles. But what really interests me is the right now portion of the question. Um, I don't know that I would say he's the best right now. Or maybe he is the best right now, but he hasn't been historically.
Yeah, I mean, my answer to this is yes, that I do think Superman is the best character right now. And I'm coming at that from a place of I have not loved Superman ever in my life prior to the last 5 years. Um, Before that, I've liked him. I started out not really caring too much about him. And more things have happened. They made him a father, which, I'm not a dad, but I can understand those worries closer than I can understand the worries of an alien dude. Um, and I just feel like they started to do a lot of things that were connecting with me. I really love Warworld by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And I think what Joshua Williamson has been doing has been really good. So he's on a hot streak. And I'm also really considering him relative to other characters. Batman's not been in a good spot for a while. Spider-Man is I'm enjoying Amazing Spider-Man a ton, but I wouldn't say it's like look, that's one book. I feel like the direction for Superman as a character is amazing right now.
Well, right now he's there. What Superman is a lot of different things. Superman as a character is Superman in the mainline Joshua Williamson Superman book. Coming up in Action Comics, he's not just Superman; he's Superboy, and it's a story of Clark and Kal-El, um, in his time of being youth with the Legion and all that. So Superman is still the same character, a wholly different character at the same time. And then you throw him on, he's a big part of Justice League Unlimited, but he's a leader on that. He plays a completely different role. So I think we're seeing now, and maybe this can be evidence for him being the best character right now. He's the most malleable in a way.
And I think that's interesting because I think right now maybe what we're seeing is that Superman's role should be what, well, and maybe this could be the talking point, but Superman's role should be for DC what the Avengers should be at Marvel. Like, I don't think there's one character at Marvel that really, sums up Marvel as much as the Avengers and like the direction that Marvel should be heading, the way the Avengers title has, under Bendis, under Hickman, under, name it. I think Superman should be that for DC. Probably more than the Justice League, because like historically, Superman hasn't been part of the Justice League.
Really?
Yeah. There was a period of time where I think it's like JLA Year One, where it was like Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, and Black Canary, and Martian Manhunter, of course.
Okay. Interesting.
That is to say, he's not always part of the Justice League. And I think now what we're seeing is like seeds of stuff are happening in Superman that he's noticing, and that it's being sort of born in his title, and then it's branching out into like the Justice League and the broader parts of the world.
Yeah, like his book actually feels it feels connected because you have the stuff happening with Lex, which is obviously important, but then you also have what's been going on with Lois and her powers, which is directly tethered to the absolute power event. And on top of that, just now you have the Legion, the Dark Legion, making their presence known in Superman. So like it's even a book that is giving you that like in universe connection piece that Superman books haven't always given.
And
so it feels like it's important to read.
Yeah. And I think it's not even just Superman. Like it's the Superman adjacent books that are also important, and I think we're not even talking about like absolute Superman. Sure, it's a different character, but it's still Superman, and it's still showing that malleability of the idea of who Superman can be, which is the most recognizable. Is he like the most recognizable fictional character next to Mickey Mouse? Did I read that somewhere? At least globally?
It would have to be, it would have to be him or like maybe Batman, but yeah, certainly.
Batman and Spider-Man are probably the interchangeable at any given point. Yeah.
But the fact that character can be, just the cape wearing superhero in the Superman book fighting, Doomsday, and also in a wholly separate universe in Absolute be this, revolt leading freedom fighter. Same character.
But that's what he is.
Exactly. Yeah, it's showing the different faces. Yeah.
But I know what I'm saying is I don't think Absolute is a good example of showing the different faces.
How so?
I think he's the same. If anything, Aaron's taking him back to his roots with a bit more of a modern sci-fi bent.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There's like it's almost genreizing. That's not a word.
But that's what Superman is. That's what like all of Superman stuff has sci-fi elements to it.
I think it's giving us a, what if the myth of Superman were created today? Sort of like that kind of a recontextualization, which for some people, I do think that there's a level of alienation, no pun intended, that they feel with Superman because of how long he went by the Truth, Justice, and American Way moniker and what that means to people across the world. Even inside of America, that doesn't mean what it used to mean. And for some of us, that is alienating. I can say that for me, in a way, it was. I thought that meant that Superman was not for me. I'm American. But for some reason, and maybe that's a wrong way to think, but it's not even a thought, it's a feeling. I felt that way. And now, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to add to that. It harkens back to a white picket fence era where
emphasis on the white.
Well,
Right. That's how it made me feel, and now Superman's got kids, he's fighting for truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. And in the absolute space, he's, as boots to the ground as you could possibly be. And I think that for a lot of young people, that might be their version of Superman in the, not now today, but maybe down the line.
Yeah, I mean, for a long time he was a pastiche of a time gone by, and for a lot of people, that time is not something to look fondly back to.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also it's interesting that in a modern context, like in the modern age, say in the past 20 or so years, 25 years, our best example of how hmm, how Superman should be portrayed is Captain America, is Chris Evans as Steve Rogers.
Sure.
The Sentinel of Liberty, because at least that character was changing constantly throughout the times. Uh, where Captain America would kind of fit the modern way because of the sliding timescale of Marvel. I think that kind of helped.
Well, and I think it, your opinion may vary on the films, but I think what they do is an excellent job of showing his roots as a, wartime propaganda into a soldier, into someone who came through the decades and, questioned authority and is interested in truth and justice and a better tomorrow.
And I think that that's an excellent comparison to Superman, because in the movies, Captain America never wavers. Like Winter Soldier, people say, oh, it's a dark movie, but Captain America's not dark in that movie. The things that are happening to him and around him are intense, but he is who he is. And that's what we want to see from Superman. And I think that whether you like Man of Steel or not, and that direction, the unwavering nature of Superman is why people like him, because he's for all people and he's not going to budge on that. And that's what we want to see. And so for a lot of people, Captain America is as close as we've ever gotten. Obviously outside of Christopher Reeve and everything with that.
And what do you think that more modern shift is all in due towards? Is it Convergence #1 when John Kent gets first introduced? Is it? I mean, the slogan changing. That's a Bendis thing, right? Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Wasn't that a shift Bendis made?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Or was it JMS?
Um, I don't think it was
I'm not all the
grounded.
way sure.
I think it might have been during the Bendis run. I think I can remember news articles about it, like other news, like Daily Show era stuff, getting wind of it.
Mm.
Is it that? Is it just DC deciding to put their money there because there's a movie coming out? It's like, all right, let's put our resources where we need them, and putting their best creatives on these books.
I sort of feel like it's putting people on the books who really understand the character and what the character needs to be. He doesn't need to be someone who only fights for America. He needs to be a champion for the world, a champion for humanity, while also struggling to be one of us. And I think when you get those creators who can do that, I think the only thing that's left is bringing the audience to that character. And to me, Superman was really, really great in the Bruce Timm era animated series. And I think to me, he's been good since that. Like, I've loved him since that. But I think if you can't get the audience on board, then the perception is just going to be, oh, he's a flag waving patriot.
Looks like that change happened in 2021 regarding
Yeah.
the uh the slogan adjustment.
Looks like
Um
they did it at the Fandom. Hell yeah.
love it. I think it's funny that Batman fights for Gotham pretty much exclusively, and Superman is the one that people associate with, like, he's just only an American, like he only fights for America. Like Batman is way more specific in what he's fighting
Local.
for,
Yeah.
way more local, but Superman has that rap. And I think it's just, you know, he almost comes across as a propaganda piece, especially if you don't read the comics.
Look at this
Um,
colors on his suit.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
mostly the US flag. Famous Superman covers probably have the flag in the background or somewhere in it. You know, those older ones.
I love Superman though, and that's something that I'm happy to be able to say. And I think a lot of credit belongs to DC for putting the right people on the character who get it from a modern context, like what he should be, going as far back as giving him a son, making sure that the marriage to Lois is set in stone because that should be that's not a will they won't they to me. I don't know that it was conceived that way, and it doesn't come across that way. They should be married, and we know that in the James Gunn movie, they will be together from the jump. So, like, that's what it's supposed to. That's read and suit to me. There's no question marks there.
There's no DC version of Paul that's needed here.
No, no,
Paul L.
no.
I mean, this is the most I've
It's
liked Superman this era. This is uh, it's not even like I am. It's continuing to grow too. Like I'm excited for that Black Label book to come out from the Ice Cream Man team. I'm excited for a crypto book to be coming out. You know, like this is big stuff for me. So I don't know if he's the best character in my eyes, but it's definitely one of the best characters for sure.
well, we'll leave it to you guys at home. Is Superman currently the best character? Has he always been the best character? I'm sure some people will feel that way. What are your thoughts about Superman? How do you feel about the slogan change? I think that Superman as the face of DC feels right. Everybody loves Batman. Batman's great, but Superman is hope. And it's pretty cool to have your entire company synonymous with a message that good. So I love it. And I'm hopeful for many more great years of Superman stories. We'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, take care.